Good to go.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order at March 4th for our 2021 International Fire Code TAG meeting. Welcome everybody, and we'll start with a roll call. I'll have Ray go ahead and go through that.
All right. Meg, Haley. Quinn, okay. Corey Thomas.
I am here.
Thank you, Corey. Damien Jed.
I'm here.
Welcome. John Napier.
Yep, I'm here.
Michael Six.
Here.
Ken Roulette.
Here.
You're back. Dave Cocott.
Here.
Matt Campbell.
Here.
Kevin Marr.
I'm here.
Zach Tuck. And Chris Seaman.
I'm here.
Welcome, everybody.
I'm also here, Ray, just so you know.
Tony Doan.
Here. All right, so anyone from the public that would like to be recognized? Okay, hearing none. So I have Ray came to Yakima to do the meeting, which is nice to be able to do some stuff in person. I know we're all not back to normal, but feels a little bit normal, which is better than the last year's been. So, so that's been good. So we also want to welcome 2 new members, but I don't know that they're here because I didn't hear.
I sent him the invite just yesterday
Okay.
because that's when we got him on the website.
So we have Meg Haley representing the architect group, and we also have Zach Tuck in the alarm industry who are now part of the TAG. So want to welcome them, and we should be seeing more of them here in future TAG meetings. So we'll go to agenda item number 2, which is review and approve agenda. So we have the agenda up right now. Ray's sharing that. So if anyone have any discussion or changes, if not, looking for a motion to approve.
This is Chris. I'd move the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Chris and a second from Matthew. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Say nay. All right, motion carries. Agenda is approved. To agenda item number 3, which is review and approve the February 18th, 2021 summary. Hi, Miss, welcome.
Oh, thanks.
A little difficulty here, just for a second. Stop sharing. Now I can't find my share button again.
I have to share it because Chris.
Well, shoot. That happened.
Hey, Tony, do you need to resign because you're in a non-sprinklered building?
No, I knew I should have angled that camera.
Okay. This is okay. Oh, okay. Okay. I'll get this. All right, here we go. Go ahead and
Okay, so we have our meeting minutes up. Just want to take a quick look over those. We haven't had the chance already, and again, look for any discussion or changes you'd like to see on that.
these are not the minutes.
Oh, they aren't?
No, I pulled up the wrong one. Looks like I pulled up the 18th. Oh, look. Wait a minute. We may be in approving minutes next meeting for the 25th.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think I saw him on there.
Okay, what we'll do is
They
we'll-
are done. I forgot to post them, it looks like.
we'll table,
Give me 1 second.
Oh.
Let's do this. I'm up right now.
okay,
Sure. There we go.
now they're up in front of us. Take a quick look over those and begin looking for any discussion or changes or a motion to approve.
Yeah, Ray, this is John Napier. I was absent last meeting.
I was just going to ask that when I put it in there. I thought, geez, I thought John was gone, but I wasn't for sure. Okay, I'll make that correction.
I was there in spirit, but yeah, physically wasn't there.
We felt it.
Okay, so we'll make the change to the members in attendance.
And this Dave Kokot, I was also not in attendance.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
But it's nice to know that people thought I was there.
We were thinking of you.
All right, leave a note.
Looking for a group. Looking for a motion to approve with those changes.
Motion to approve.
Good, thank you.
I'll second.
Kevin, I'll second.
Thank you. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, so motion carries. Okay, we'll jump to agenda item number 4, which is review existing IFC state amendments, WAC 5154A. Ray, do you want me to share the?
Yes, why don't you share that
Okay.
document, the WAC document, and I'm going to pull up the. I got to. Did I stop here? I got to stop sharing. There, I stopped sharing.
So do you want the Word document up or the Excel?
The Word.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I went through all the. We're kind of running, I want to say running out of time. We have this meeting, we have the next meeting before the council meeting. We have a BFP and a council meeting coming up where these are going to be presented. So what I have done, we kind of touched on it a little bit in the past, and Tony and I talked about it today, is instead of everybody submitting proposals for their chapters, I'm going to submit one proposal for everybody for the amendment changes that we're going to make. So the document that Tony has up, I have gone through and done a rough draft of the changes that we have talked about. So I thought today we would go through that document along with the Excel spreadsheet and read off each one of the changes that we were talking about doing and seeing if it aligns on the document Tony has pulled up with what you were thinking. So that was the intent of today's meeting for this part of it.
Yep. So that's the plan. So what we'll do is we'll start at, are you going off the Excel sheet then, Ray?
Yeah, I will just read I'll just keep going down the chapters.
Okay.
And
All right.
then you will scroll down that.
Okay. Is everyone seeing the Word document okay? Okay.
Okay,
All right.
perfect. Okay. So let's see here. We had I'm just gonna say double lot 1. We're gonna keep the amendment, there's no change. Everything stayed the same except for 5154A double lot 3, and that I struck 2018 and replaced it with 2021. And then in the exceptions, strike 2018, of the WUI code and reference third sentence. I don't know, I made that note. I don't, I mean, does that make sense on
Yeah,
there? Okay.
2018, yeah.
And then the implementation, I struck July 1, 2020 and put July 1, 2023. We'll see how well that goes in that year.
See, let me get down there real quick, right?
What was that?
2024, you have 2024 on there.
Oh, that's right. It's 2024, not 2023. I'm sorry. My notes were wrong on here. Okay, the next one would be John Napier's code. So these were actually covered in this the scope and requirements and dependencies. He said delete the amendment. The amendment has been deleted. That was covered in that old CR 105. And for reference, that CR 105 has been published on the Ledge website, so everything's current. Everything except for the 909, 2112, and 2113. Those need to be added back to the IFC. Okay, and then the next change was the modify the or 105.6.4. That was deleted in the CR 105.
Where are you at on the WAC? Is it the one of the permits? Is that where you're at?
You're probably not going to see it because it was deleted in the 105. So I'm just kind of making.
Okay.
So that was. Go ahead.
I got a question. Can you go back up to the urban wildland interface? Because it references Appendix N. And Appendix N isn't in the 2021 code.
Oh, all right.
I mean, Appendix N is in the 2021 code. It's just not the International Wildland Urban Interface Code.
Okay.
So
We can strike that or change the appendix letter.
I think it's just a standalone document now. I don't think it's referenced in the 2021 code as an appendix.
Yeah, I agree. It's not an appendix.
Yeah, so it went from appendix to its code.
Okay.
Now.
So we can just strike that.
Yeah, I don't know what section 8200 is off the top of my head, so.
8200, 8200 in our amendment is the WUI code, is our.
Okay, we'll leave it like that for now. I just
Yeah.
got the amendment.
Okay.
We'll clean that up later, I guess.
Okay. Did you make a note?
One of the things to consider, though, is there is no WAC 51 for the Wildland Urban Interface Code. So we would have to create another WAC 51, 57, or something like that to be able to move that out of this appendix. That's where it was kept. I think we do need to do that because it is a separate adopted code. It's just not outlined that way inside the legislative documents.
Yeah, I would agree with Dave that I think if it's going to come out of the appendix, it should have its own WAC.
Oh, because yeah. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, I made a note in there.
Do you catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
They'll take care of one of my big issues is that if you don't know it's in the fire code, you can't find it.
Exactly. Okay. So 106.3 mobile food preparation vehicles. We put modify the amendment. It looks like I put it as 105.5.30 was the tag recommendation. And I put renumber 105.6 with a question mark. What do we do on that?
So 105.5.3 it's just the definition change.
Okay.
Or basically the change of the definition of a mobile food prep vehicle. And then the 105.620, oh, that's under ground sprinkler. So does that need to be struck? Is that what you have in the Excel sheet?
I had a question mark. And I was going to ask John if he remembers what he was doing, what we were going to change in that. So he wanted to modify the amendment.
Oh, okay. John, what on this language here in 105.5.3, the mobile food prep vehicle for the permit. That's what it's for, right, Ray? We're talking about the permit.
Yeah, do you say 3 or 30?
30?
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just-
I'd have to take a look at my notes, but I think the change there was that the operational permits have always been 105.6 and now they're 105.5s. And the construction permits got renumbered from 105.7 to 105.6. So I think that the 0.30 is fine. It was just the changing of the second numeral there.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. Did you make a note on that?
It's already.
Okay, good. Got it. Okay, and then 105.7.19 marijuana extraction system, that was deleted already because of the new marijuana section. Then 105.7.20 underground piping straight for automatic sprinklers. It was modify the amendment and we renumbered it to 105.7. Is that what I have on there?
You deleted 105.7 and moved it to 105.6.
Oh, the tag recommendation was to move to 105.6.25. Okay, there we go. Okay, I had a question on and we were into chapter 2 now. The institutional group I1, we had occupancies IBC/IFC. Were we just looking to correlate with the IBC on that, John?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, perfect. Then we're going to scroll down. We're going to keep all the amendments in 307, 308. Go ahead. Was somebody trying to talk there? Okay. Okay, then we go to more chapter 314. It looks like we're going to delete 314.1, 314.2, 314.3, 4, and 315.7.6, and then we had in the table for bracket 1. All of those will be deleted. It's identical language to the model code now.
Okay. Showing that here.
Did I do that on the, okay. Then 319 mobile food preparation vehicles. We're going to keep that amendment. Going into chapter 4, we're going to keep the amendment for 401.2. Dave, in definitions, you said review for revision. Do you remember what you were wanting to review for revision on that? Or was that another correlation?
I think there was a correlation because I want to make sure we don't have a definition that conflicts with some of the other codes.
Okay.
Can you back up to the 314 again? Because did we have aircraft in there before? In the 314.4?
Yeah, we did. Liquid or gas fueled vehicles, boats, aircraft, or other motorcraft shall not be located indoors except as follows.
So was that our state amendment was aircraft, right?
If it's on Tony's document, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not showing in here the differences between the 21 and the state amendments. You're just showing what the whole state amendment's going to read.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just how I would submit the proposal.
Okay, so again, for the reader, they're not going to know the difference between the 21 and the state language. Because that's always been an issue when we're trying to figure out what changes did the state make without like an underline and strike throughs and all of that.
So instead of having it in the document like this, we would need to add something that shows, well, why the 21 model code suffices. Is that what you're saying, Ken?
Well, I'm just trying to say if there was changes, are we showing them like through underline and strike through?
The only way I've been doing it on this document is just like with track changes. So if I strike it, it just shows up
Okay.
red.
All right.
But you
so-
can redo it so you can show all changes and show that strikeout language, can't
Okay.
you?
Yeah, you can probably see it right now, can't you, Tony?
Well.
Are you
not-
showing-
Not really, but
Oh,
Okay, I was just, I mean, like the 21 code did add the word aircraft and, you know, the number 1.
I do.
I just didn't know if it was just something that you were going to try to do just so the user would know what the difference was between the model code and the state amendments.
I see what you're saying.
Just like I think you had it in this, I don't know, was it in this document you had things in red?
Yes, that was like that was anything I changed was in red or struck.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to make it easier for the reader with the strike through and underline the kind of the way the ICC does it.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
usually it shows the strike through, so I'm wondering if there's just something missing as far as a set. Because usually,
track changes. Yeah, now go to.
So there might not be any changes in this section though, the 314.4. I don't think there is. It's all model code language.
it doesn't show it there struck.
Yeah, that's weird because it should have, because that's how it shows up on mine. Why don't you pull up that Excel sheet?
You're gonna share that one,
No, I'm
or are you gonna jump on that one?
going to share my. Let's get this pulled up here. Can you see what I'm doing
I
here?
think so. I think
Okay,
it shows it crossed out on yours.
okay, let me get down to where we need to be. Okay, maybe this will help out. I don't know what got going on this guy.
Your Yakima equipment.
Okay, so Tony, I think okay. So does this help, Ken? Seeing it like this?
So you've struck out the original code language and just put in, the model code language.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if we
But-
delete the amendment, we're gonna delete it.
Yeah, so you're showing the deletion of the existing state amendment
Okay. Yes,
and not
I-
just showing the 2021 code and then doing the strike throughs and underlines of that.
that's correct. And the reason I do that, because that's how we have to submit this proposal. And that's kind of what the council will be looking at on the 19th, I think it is. Yeah. I might have skipped a step on in the tag process. And I can set this up however anybody wants to see it. I don't mind doing anything that helps you guys out. I'm willing to do.
Ken, are you wanting to see this document look different?
I'm just making, I just want to make sure this is being done correctly. Is it supposed to show what was in the 2015 WAC and then what's going to be in the next WAC? Or are we only showing the changes that we're making to the 2021 code? Maybe I just said that wrong, but are we supposed to show what was before or only the changes that we're making?
For this document, for this proposal, it's only the changes that we're making.
Okay, so if we're only showing the proposed changes that we're making, we're not making any changes to the 2021 code for that section, right?
Not yet. We're not at that step yet. That's
This
the
is
next phase. That's the next phase of our tag work.
Just
Okay.
the whack. This is
Yeah.
just the whack.
Just
So
the
then this is just the WAC then, but we're showing what was in the 2018 code, right?
Yes, this is all 28. Yes, this is the current 2018 code language.
Okay, makes sense to me now. Thank you.
Sorry if I don't explain things very well.
Okay, so that takes us to, we did 315.761. That's the table that they got right this time, right?
Yeah.
So we got rid of that one. And then we have the 319 one, which is keep the amendment, which is mobile food prep vehicles. And that's the change of language there. So I think we're on the same page on that one. And now we're going to jump into chapter 4, which is 54A 401. 4012 approval. We're going to keep that amendment. And then in definitions, review for revision.
And I've got that. I'm just going to start correlating with the IBC on that.
Okay, that'll
Definition.
be correlation with the IBC. Then we go down to 403. All of 403, 0.3.1, 0.5.4, 0.10.2, 10.2.4, and 10.3 is all keep amendment. And then 403.12.3, crowd managers for gatherings exceeding 1,000 people. 500 for the new code versus 1,000.
I highlighted that because I think that was up for discussion on how we wanted to handle that.
Okay, let's open it up to the group and see what we think on that one. Who's working on that? Dave, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it is a cost factor. It's a big change if we're going to go to the 500 versus the 1,000. So I just wanted to see if that's something that there was an issue of concern. If not, I'm happy to go with the amendment, but I know we're going to have somebody that's going to have a concern about that, probably bring it to the tag.
So Dave, would the proposal be to go to the 500 or meet the model code or keep it as the 1,000?
My proposal would be to move it forward, to keep go with the model code, because I want to eliminate as many amendments as possible. But I think we need to, because of the potential impact of it, this is one of those code changes that I think needs to be addressed and discussed at the tag level to see if we have any public comment on it.
Okay. So for now, we can keep the language. Is this better to go through the process in our next step than it is right now?
Well, we're supposed to present these changes, the amendment changes, to the next council meeting. So we're at the point now where we got to make our decisions, how we want our amendments to look. We have this meeting and the next meeting to get through that. And I'm hoping to send this document after we get this marked up to everybody. And then they can review it a little closer than just in this meeting.
Okay.
So just a question from my standpoint then is, so we would be changing the state amendment to the 500 from the 1,000. Will the public have opportunity to comment on that?
Yes, this still all goes. This still goes through the whole process. This is
Right.
These are our tag steps, and then it's still going to go all the way through, and we'll vote on a final say back in, I think it's November for all these changes.
Hello.
So at this point, my recommendation is to go with the state with the
I'm
new code
looking at trying
language.
to get a special plate with the state parks.
Hey, Scott,
wanting the background, or were you also wanting it personalized?
Not personalized, just the background.
Hey, Scott, could you mute your microphone?
there he goes. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, so the proposal right now is to go to the model language of 500 versus 1,000. Is that something that the tag, is anyone against that move right now or want to discuss that or open it up for discussion?
This is Chris. I believe that the 2018 already made that change to 500. This is not a change between the 2018 and the 2021, I don't believe.
No, this is our amendment.
So our amendment already exists at 1,000 people.
Yes.
So any changes to it, I think the appropriate place for that to happen. So the change wouldn't be a result as the model code changing. The change would be a result of us saying it should change.
That is
correct. I think that process is through the code proposal process, not the exercise we've already got, we're going through.
This document right here will be submitted as a proposal.
Oh, I mean, from like when the public generally provides proposals, this is our to date work has been, how has the 2021 impacted existing WAC? Unless I'm mistaken. But in this case, the 2021 does not impact this WAC. So
It actually does, because the 2021 goes to 500.
the 2018 is at 500 already.
Right.
So the
So-
amendment carries.
Yeah, you just
The
did nothing.
2021 didn't change.
If that's what we want to do.
Yeah, we're just deciding if we want to go to model code or keep our existing WAC.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would be supportive. I don't think there's a good argument to keep it at 1,000. If the model code has gone to 500, then there needs to be a compelling reason why we need to stay at 1,000, in my opinion.
No, what I'm saying is the model code did not change.
No, I get that, Chris. I'm just saying,
Agreed.
Yeah.
if this isn't something that the tag wants to bring forward as continuing in the WAC, then it needs to be struck.
And the appropriate process for that would be a proposed amendment to the Washington State Amendment in the proposal process, rather than a modification of the carrying of the WAC from one cycle to the next, correct?
Well, the proposal, there's two proposal cycles. One is the tag work and the other one is the public at large. And I think what Ray's saying is that the recommendation from the tag is that it's removed, and that the people will have ability to comment on. Is that correct, Ray?
That is correct. Everything will have public comment through the whole cycle. If we decide to do, like you're saying, if we decide to do 500, we would just strike the amendment, and then that would be model code. Now, currently in the 18 code, it's still going to stay 1,000, but it won't change till the 2021 code.
Correct.
Okay. I guess what I would say is
We're not striking. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't talk.
I'm supportive of the change to 500. I'm not supportive of the process to do it at this point in what we are doing, because I think that the outside world, those that do look in, the work we are doing today is how has the changes in the model code affected our WACs? And that's what we are addressing. So I would see it as sneaking something in if we put it in through this process here, and there's not a separate code change proposal form that is filled out.
I'm with you, Chris.
Well, that is the process.
Well, this when we finish this document, we get it cleaned up the way we want it to look. This will be the attached document for the proposal. It's still got I hope I'm explaining this right. Normally, like I said, each person would do their own proposal for the chapters they're doing, but I'm trying to simplify it and do one proposal for everybody.
Understood, but when you submit this to the council, at the top of it, when you explain what the heck you're submitting, you're going to say, these proposals are reflective of the changes that are made to the 2021 code and how they've impacted the WACs. Whereas this is not the case for this particular section. And that's where I think we're sneaking it in.
Yeah, I think what we're getting at here is that if the stuff that we're striking is stuff that more has turned to identical language in the model code, which that would give us the reason to strike it instead of going the other direction, which would be, it doesn't match it, but we agree with it. And I think that's the difference here. And so what I would like to just ask the question and get some understanding on, so we know what this would look like. Let's say that due to the lack of consistency, and this isn't identical language to identical language type thing, if this were to go through the next process, what does that look like, and what are the disadvantages of doing so? That's what I'd like to know. I mean, you know, so let's say we just keep it at 1,000, and then let's say Dave brings it up as a change in the next process, or whoever. What's the harm in going that route versus this?
There is no harm. And actually that's going to happen probably quite a few times. We're going to get this document to look like a proposal. and then it's gonna go through a tag, it's gonna go through the council, it's gonna go through the BFP. So this isn't gonna be the final draft, because we can't, the final draft of the code changes. We won't have a final draft of this document until, like we're saying, the community's proposals, because they're gonna make proposals to the code book, and the community is gonna be able to make proposals to our amendments as well.
Right. Go ahead.
This kind of circles back to Ken's point earlier that this is just the WAC. We're just looking at the WAC and whether or not there's the code now matches our WAC amendments or not. And it's kind of a 1 or a 0. The introspective time is the next process.
Yes, that
I get that.
yeah, and I'm getting my head around it now. And you are making sense. That does make a lot of sense. That if we want to make changes to these, let's let it go through the big process.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think anyone is disagreeing with it going to 500. I think it's just really what step in the process we're in. So let's keep it at 1,000 for now. That's my recommendation, unless someone else would like to speak on that, and then we'll go through that process at the next level.
I have no problem with that. I think that's the reason why I stated that we need to discuss it, because I think that there was a push to go to that, but is this the proper time, or do we have to get a proposal later? I think that's been clarified, so I'm good at leaving this as amendment.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And you will see a proposal.
It's a great conversation on this.
Okay, excellent. Let's move on to let's see, that was 403.12.3. So now we're going to 404.23. And that's the lockdown plans, fire safety and evacuation plans. And it says review for removal. Are we?
Yeah, I was kind of confused on this because it says this section is not adopted. So
Yeah, I think that's just the clarification that most of the time law enforcement is involved in that process, but fire department really is. And so I think that's where historically we've not adopted it, but I don't know if that's changed or not, that viewpoint.
Well, one of the things that's changed a lot is, and this may be another one we have to consider a proposal for this, is that a lot of departments now are involved in lockdown and have crews that will respond under difficult situations and are more police situations. So even though we in the past have not adopted the lockdown, we are now involved in the lockdown. So my guess is let's also leave this amendment in place and look for a proposal to come in.
Excellent. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Dave. Okay. I'm getting lost on this spreadsheet. Here we go. Okay. 406.1, 2, 3, and 3.5 is all keep. And then we have 406.4 is modify amendment, renumber to 406.3.1.
even though it's not adopted, I think it was just a number change to keep it consistent with the model
Okay,
code.
excellent. So we're good there. Going to chapter 5. Looks like we have keep amendment all the way down to emergency responder radio coverage, which is 510.4.1.1. That's our minimum signal strength into building, and it said it's covered by a model code. So we're good with deleting that. Ken, what do you think?
Yeah, so this is the same thing that like Dave was talking about, is that we'll keep the amendment, but there'll be further, I'll propose further amendments to all of these sections here in 510.
Oh, so you don't want me to strike that amendment, Ken?
No, I would keep, yeah, no, just, that's the whole thing, is that you can just keep it if you want, because we're going to propose changes to all of this.
Okay, I'll just leave it unstruck then for current.
Okay, and let's go to
Are you making any changes to that as we?
this.
Mm-hmm.
What changes would you like me to make?
Well, if I change it on here, it'd be nice to reference it on the tracking log.
Well, I could have used that 4 chapters ago. Okay, well.
Yeah, 3-hour drive for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Ray, I think you guys should get in the same room. That might work better that way.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Oh,
Let's see,
good.
There it is. All right. Okay,
So-
Ray and I have work to do after this meeting, it looks like, so. All right,
So basically, you want to keep all the amendments in that 510, Ken, and you're going to change it to.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of what I'm hearing is going to happen. We'll just keep the existing amendments and then we'll propose code changes to amend these.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna unstrike what I've struck then. If Tony approves.
well, I
right?
approve, yeah. Let's do this. Okay, I'm caught up.
Pick that up. Okay, keep language in 1. We deleted that. Okay, we did not delete this now, so I'm gonna. Okay. You can keep, you can keep going, Tony.
Okay, so we're gonna go to chapter 6. I don't know that Quinn's here today, but we'll just go into this real quick. So commercial hoods 607-2, where required, says modify amendment, renumber to 606, coordinate with IMC. And it looks like for 607-2, 721, and 73, it's a renumbering. So are we good there?
Yeah, it was just changing it from 607 to 606.
Excellent.
I think that's the second time they've done that in this code, in this hood range.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then chapter 7, which we can delete the amendment for 7016. I think that just matched model language. So we're good there, if I remember correctly. So chapter 8, it looks like keep amendments with a note to review occupancies on 806.11. Do you have any notes on that?
Is it occupancies or capacities?
This says occupancy.
Okay, it's capacities.
It's capacities.
Who made that
I don't
document?
know. All right.
Well, it refers to R4, for instance, in the model code. So we want to make sure that the occupancies are matching.
Okay.
Do we have an R4? I thought,
No, we don't. Well, not yet.
I was gonna say, I thought we deleted R4.
In all honesty, we'll let you know that there have been discussions in the State Farm Marshal's office, and I haven't talked to Matt about this, but they have a particular occupancy that's a problem, and it actually gets solved if we put some R4 back in the code. So there may be a proposal through this cycle.
Cool. All right. Good. So
So was that, I'm sorry, Dave, when I said capacity and Tony said occupancy for this section, was that correct when it said occupancy in the?
Yeah, occupancies is what's called out there. So we also make sure that because they've done some changes to some of the occupancy designations. So I'll make sure that we are correct with that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I keep my track log correct. And Tony on track.
okay, I got it typed up. Okay, and then we have this is chapter 9.
Yeah.
So it looks like for our 90142, 90182, 903216, 903218 is all keep. And then we get to 90323, which is group E. Modify amendment, reference to table 100412 needs to be changed to 1004.5, 3 different locations.
So we've got it changed in the language and then 2 exceptions.
Okay, excellent. And and then 90326 is keep, and then 903261 is modify, and that's referencing the table 100412 again to 10045. So we did that. And then we have keep, and then group S1 delete amendment.
I think the model code covers this
Yeah,
hood.
model code, this is in the model code now.
Thank you, Corey.
Mhm.
And then
Next one, too, same thing.
this was off the list. Perfect.
That was hard to strike because we went through a lot of process to put that in the 18 code.
And then 903, the rest of 903 is keep, and then we jump into 904. 90411 through 13 is keep. That's our certificate for the fire extinguishing services. Which, how does that work with the, nothing changes with the amendment that we, or the rule change, the emergency rule?
No.
Okay. And then,
Ray, haven't seen that emergency rule posted yet. Did it get, I know it got submitted. It didn't show up on the ledge this morning.
Really? It does. Yeah, it's been submitted and it has a WSR number.
Okay.
I'll see why it's not posted.
good, excellent. And then 90412, which is modify amendment. Looks like add the word NFPA 96 in the body of the code and add new item 3, automatic water mist systems, NFPA 750, then renumber items 4, 5, and 6.
So I had some questions on that when I was working through this. So we renumbered it as well. Add the word NAPA 96, NFPA 96. Where were we going to add that at?
It's in the body of the code now. Let's see here.
Oh, down here in the numbers.
Is this a proposal to amend the amendment?
No, this is just matching the new 21 code.
Go down to the numbers. There, you're almost there. A little more right there.
Oh,
So
this-
see where it says the 1 through 5.
Uh-huh.
We need to add a number 3. Wait. Add new item 3, and then it renumbers those last 3 to 4, 5, and 6. So 3 needs to be automatic water mist systems, NFPA 750, and then 3, 4, and 5 goes to 4, 5, and 6. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
That's what it looked like. And then the NFPA 96 is actually referred to in 904.13. So they added some language in there that I think that's what Corey was looking at.
Yeah, it's more up in the body of the text before
Yeah,
the
so it's up
numbers.
above the 1 through 5. So it's up above that.
3.
We added in the signage requirements and things too. So we'll just have to see exactly where that goes.
It's the sentence that begins with the system shall be installed in accordance with this code.
Okay, scroll back up again a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right around, okay, that area there. Oh,
Here
Oh,
we go. Sixth line down on the page where your cursor is. Not that page.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
After that comma,
Mm-hmm.
NFPA 96 and another comma.
Oops.
And I suppose there would be an and there. Does that in the code too? It's listing and.
Oh.
So there probably, it's not in the model code, but there should be an Oxford comma after its listing. But
Well, we want to keep our Oxfords correct. So
yeah, keep the Oxford straight.
Um,
Chris, you're
did you
amazing.
say, where did you want another and?
No, it's there. And the reason why it's hard to find is because that comma's not in the model code.
Well,
So
we fixed
thank-
that.
good for commas.
Yeah, looks good.
All right.
After the 750, just put a semicolon instead of the.
Oops. Jeez Louise. All right.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so that was.
I'm glad we talked about that because I would have never got that Oxford comment there.
Exactly. 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then 90723. Everything in 907. I pretty much have here, keep amendment.
Yes.
Okay, and then 909.
I had a note. I had a comment on 90752.1.2.
The maximum sound pressure.
I just made a note that there was a change, but it didn't affect our amendment. I just thought, I brought it up just for the group discussion, and no one seemed to be concerned about it. So I'm not concerned about it. If somebody wants to propose a change, I guess they can.
Thank you.
And then I have notes in 909 and 913 that talk about needs to be copied over from the IVC, but I think we're good there now. So I don't think any of those need changed. And the next modification is at 918.2, the power source.
Hold on, let me there I want to read my notes on my thing.
Yes, I think you're right. 918.2.
90. Yeah, we have to add a whack. This is the one that needs to be copied over from the, yeah. I'll correlate with the IBC and yeah,
Okay.
as long as I have my notes on that,
Okay.
because I need to add that 2112 and 2113 again.
Okay. And then 918.
90. Yeah, that's right. 918.2. And there was just a couple of reference changes there, updates. 10.6, yep, and
Excellent. And then we go to 918.42, which is
other,
4 to 2384.
yep,
And then we have 918.5 is the next one, which is 741 to 1841.
that's correct.
Excellent. And those look
That's
good.
all I had.
Okay, thank you, Corey.
Yep.
Down to chapter 10. Okay, do you have anything on 100823?
1008, we don't even have a 1008.
Okay,
Big-
it said reserved in the fire code, need to correlate. There's a note in here, so I wasn't sure if you have anything.
Yeah,
It exists in the building code. That was the problem.
Okay,
yeah, so we're gonna move. Any of these that are correlating, I'm waiting until the tag does their work in the building code, and then
okay, so anything that says need to correlate, we can just. keep
yeah,
going.
me and Stoyan will work together
Okay.
on that.
That being said, it looks like that's work to be done at a separate date then, chapter 10, because everything's pretty much needs to correlate.
Yeah, I'll work with, yeah,
Okay.
correlation is, we have to correlate it, so
Right.
we don't want this.
Okay, so
So
we can jump to 11.
Yep.
Is that where we're
I
at?
think there were a bunch of strikeouts though.
and
Ones that where the model code matches our stuff and we could get rid of it. Or at least
It-
that's what I have in my
check
notes.
again.
hmm
Oh, okay,
For example, 1006 2.1. I have that as
1006.
point 2.1.
I don't even have an amendment for 1006
Oh,
in the fire code.
maybe that's
Oh,
problem.
maybe it was it struck in that CR 105?
Oh, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, it probably got struck in that CR 105. So this is this reference, this shows that that was already been struck.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could have had these, the wax that CR5 was posted before we started this. That made some confusion in a couple chapters, but we're getting through it.
Okay, so we'll jump to 11, which looks like the modification 11039 says updated if needed.
Hold on. Need to correlate. So can we go back to 10 real
Yeah.
quick? I had a note in 10.19.7, excuse me, 10.1.9.7 was renumbered, and it also said need to correlate state amendment with new 2021 language. Is there some language that we need to add to this amendment for that, or is that, or do you want to use
That
that
was
as,
one where the model language changed, but it doesn't accommodate all of our amendment, and we kind of got to smoosh them together.
okay? Is that something that we should do on a proposal level, or you would think the tag should?
We wouldn't be changing the nature or intent of the WAC. We'd just be making it match better the model code. So I think it could be through this process. Yeah.
Okay. Is there something, does anybody have any ideas or thoughts?
No, I didn't go that far as to propose text, but I can, if you want me to
Yeah,
do it and email it to you.
yeah, just shoot an email to me and I'll I'll highlight it and we'll look at it at the next meeting. Okay, now we can go to 11.
All right, on to 11. So let's go to,
We have a lot, I have a lot of changes here in 10.
you want to stay on 10?
Yeah, I just make for my peace of mind here. I just have some strikeouts and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay, we talked about this one and you're gonna send me some language. And then 10.1.10 strike. We still okay with striking that?
It says no longer needed, yeah,
Okay.
addressed by model code language.
Okay, and then what renumbering is good. So it looks like we need to add a 1019 from IBC. We don't have that in this code.
Was
And
this copied over from the building code?
No, this is its own whack. But if we need a 1019, I'll copy it over from the building code and put it in this whack. Does that sound like something that was missed?
Yeah, it exists on my building code.
Okay,
Look at chapter 10. So we do have a 1019 in the building code WAC.
okay. I will make a new section and we will add that from the IBC. Okay. It's like, here's another one that says need to correlate state amendment with new language. Is that the same thing? Just it's got some.
Yeah,
verb-
they add like a sentence somewhere, and it doesn't conflict with our language, but it probably helps clarify things. So we should probably try to match more model code as we can.
Okay, would you mind adding that one to the email?
Yeah, I think there's more than a few of those in here, so I can run
Okay.
those down.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Looks like we have to add a section from the IBC 1023.12. And this one I had a note that says, do we want to match IBC? And it's 1030. I'm not, what is 1030 in the IBC?
Yeah.
Emergency escape and rescue windows. That's the drainage at the bottom, I think, is what that one's about.
Okay, and I think though it was struck or it was reserved. There was something there at one time. Anytime it says
Sounds like we got rid of it as a fire tag, but the building code kept it. So
do we want to address it on the fire level?
we either need to strike it on the building level or adopt it here. We have to agree between tags somehow to fix it.
Okay, I'll put this as a correlation with IBC. Is the tag okay with me just doing whatever the IBC does? If they strike it, I don't have to do anything.
Right.
Then if they add it,
I would think, I think that's okay.
Okay. There was a note. Okay, we're at 11 now. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, on to 11. So we have carbon monoxide alarms, 11039, update if needed is the note we have.
I wasn't sure what the update was. Is it?
Dave and Matthew worked on this one. See if they remember anything.
The model code language hasn't changed, but my note was just to evaluate it because the Washington State amendment is pretty robust, and I wasn't sure how long since that's been looked at. So it wouldn't be, as it stands, we would just keep the amendment, but that would be potentially looking at, because it is so divergent from the model code, as proposing an amendment later on to return back to the model code.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of effort on the last two tag cycles going through this. So that's why I suggested as well as revisiting this. So I'd leave the amendment in place and see what we get for proposals.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Looks like 1104.1, you have something there.
Yeah, it says correlation required, check with egress 1031.
And that's specific to our reference to section 1030, I believe, is 1030 changed. So it's a matter of correlation, I believe, rather than content.
Okay.
Because 1031 in the, so if our intent was to reference to the emergency escape and rescue section, that in the 2021 edition is section 1031.
Oh, so it would just be this 30 right here to 31. Okay, I'll just do that now because that's.
Oh, wait. If you go back up to 1030.
1030?
0.6, did that get changed to 1031.53?
I'm sorry, I'm at 1030 what?
There's 1030.6 is the.
I don't have a 1030.6.
Oh, never mind. I think I'm confusing it with something else.
Okay.
That number needs to be changed eventually, but first we need to correlate with the building code.
Okay.
Okay, that completes 11. And then going to 12, which is the energy systems, we have some renumbering. So we should have moved the 1204s to 1205s. Should be 12041, 12041, 12046. Should all be 1205 now. Go up a little bit, right?
Go up.
There it is, 1205. Okay, so we're good there. Go up a little more.
Oh, you want me to keep going up or?
Well, did you get the 1205?
Yeah, I got all the
I
did all the renumbering. I'm sorry.
And then 31's fine. 33, we have to modify amendment to check section numbers. So is that one all completed?
Yep, I 3305 instead of 3304 now.
Okay. And then 3308.9 to 3303.5.
I think I had some questions on that. Hold on. I put change to 3303.5. Is that
That's what we have here on the spreadsheet.
okay? Yeah, I'm just trying to 3303. So which is it? The fire? I didn't.
It's the owner's responsibility for fire protection. It was 33089. And now it needs to be 3303.5.
Okay, I did that. I just wanted to make sure I was in the It was in the right section. Oops.
And in my notes that the amendment appears to be integrated into the model code, but there's some subtle distinctions about the use of the integrating the language for mass timber in this section. And I'm not sure if that's something, I thought the IEBC was hashing out how to treat that language and whether or not it was mass timber was substituted for like heavy timber, et cetera, et cetera.
So are you good there, Ray?
Yeah. Oh, do I have that 9? Oh, I know, I'm not. I gotta delete this 9 here. I don't know why that keeps going on the other side. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'll clean that up a little bit.
And 38 is keep all the way down, so we're good there. 39, we can delete that. CR 105 cross check, it looks like.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is.
Very good.
Oh no, it was what was the note on the spreadsheet there, Tony?
Just says delete amendment.
Yeah, I had a question on that.
OTS
This is marijuana.
Yeah,
Are we deleting all of the marijuana and just going to the model code, or we want to keep these amendments? That's what I was confused on.
I'll let Dave speak on that.
The new chapter is actually ours with some amendments to it. So the goal would be that we would go to the model code because our code became the model code.
Okay, so I will delete this.
That would be my recommendation. Yeah, we just want to make sure of this, and I had to talk with the proponent. Tracy Harvey from Spokane Valley was the one who pursued this at the national level and was able to get it was moved just from marijuana to the processing and extraction. So it's not just the marijuana, but I'd recommend that we go with the new model code.
I see some chats popping up. I'll get to those.
Ken had to leave and John's on a call, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Dave, you and Tracy worked really hard on that. I was new when you guys started, when you were working on that, and it was very impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to be able to see a whole chapter showing up from something that came out of basically the fire tag ended up doing the cannabis stuff. So it's very cool. This group was the one who got this chapter in here.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm ready now.
Okay, so that puts us to 40,
We're gonna make this
49.
49.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just had does this match the model code on table 5003.11.1?
Yeah, so on to chapter 50, I'm pretty sure that footnote got added into the model code, the footnote K. I think it was K, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay,
so do we need this amendment?
I don't think so, but I'll let Matt do a.
The language was very subtly different between the model and our amendment. So I would invite another person to, if they have it accessible to them, or if you, let's see, I've got them both up, so I'm trying to do another comparison. I think I would move to delete the amendment and erring on the side of reduced amendments.
And I concur because I know the Fire Code Action Committee, Tracy was involved in a lot of this too. So, because she was dealing with the toxics on this one. So I know that she spent a lot of time working to try and get this thing lined up. So I'm good with deleting it.
Okay, let's go ahead and delete that one then.
Just for people's just knowledge, the the reason that we add reserved and don't delete the, let me see, the reason we add reserved and don't delete the WAC is because if we delete this WAC, this number can never, ever be used again in the state of Washington for a WAC, for us or for anybody else. So that's the reason we always reserve a section for change.
Okay, and then we have 5306.1, which is modify / delete is the note.
Oh, I didn't get that on my,
It's the medical gas systems.
how did I not get down that far? Okay, well, we're gonna be working on it now. Okay. Does anybody have any problem with that? Leaving that on 53061?
And specifically, I would invite any local HJs that deal with non-licensed facilities that may have medical gases or compressed gas systems. Like a Department of Health is obviously going to be assisting in hospitals and maintaining their systems and providing a level of oversight. But veterinary, small doctors' offices, dentist's office are not licensed, and therefore the only people looking at those more or less are the local HJ. And so my recommendation would be to say, I don't think the amendment is needed any longer from the perspective of working with licensed facilities, but it might be valuable to local jurisdictions who may need that language to apply it to non-licensed facilities.
Matthew, your recommendation is to delete, or are you kind of hesitant on that?
I'm only hesitant because I wouldn't want to take away a tool a local HJ would have to work with these facilities. And since I've never used this section, I don't use this section as much for medical gases. I jump straight to 99 and the more prescriptive codes. So I'm not sure from an enforcement perspective as a fire, AHJ, whether or not this language is specific, like whether or not it's very specific in its amendment to help the people in the field do their job.
I would say that we use this a lot. So going to the model language may create some challenges.
Yeah, then keep it, and if additional research permits, a reevaluation, we can always make an amendment to the amendment.
We can always do a proposal later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's with what you've been saying with everything else, right? Not change it here, but go through a proposal process. I know I use this when I work for an AHJ.
Okay, sounds good. That's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and keep it. Thank you, everyone. Okay, and then let's see what else we have.
I don't know why my notes disappeared on the rest of this document. So you might have to, you just say the number and I'll add it as we go along.
It's more 5306 where it says modify.
5306.
We were just at 0.1 and there's one that was 0.5.
Yeah.
But that may be the same discussion, I imagine. So we'll just go ahead and keep that for now. And if there needs to be changes, we can do that the next step. And then that jumps us down to 56, which is all keep. And the next amendment would be chapter 57, which is 5704-211 underground tanks. Modify amendment, and it says add section 5704-211-421.
Yeah, just added the 0.1 to the end of the,
Okay,
that's all it was.
all right, excellent. And then that takes us down to 80, which is reference standards. And
Yeah, so on those, it was just, the first one was fine. The second one, the NFPA 130-17 needs to be updated to 130-20. And then the reference to the new chapter instead of, well, I don't even know where that came from. That's not what it says now. It says it actually says 4000.1, which was wrong also. It should say 4901.1 now. That's our new chapter, is for chapter 49. So that was it there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And so the only other thing we had was the WUI, but I don't see any notes on this Excel.
Yeah, Dave, did you have any changes you'd like to make to the amendments to the WUI code?
Unfortunately, I didn't get through all the stuff that's there because with the law that passed with it, they kind of limited how much we can get into this. So I'm thinking we're gonna have to take a look at it and do some proposals separately because it's kind of a conglomeration of a couple of different things. So I want to have some time to take a look at it a little bit deeper and make sure we get it right.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Excellent.
And I think that's it. Stuff.
Okay.
Let me see here. So,
Hey, Ray, while we're
You
talking
and-
about the wildland
Yes.
fire problem, do we need to declare that we want to have that section broken into a new WAC at this point, or how do we go about
No.
doing that?
Yeah, that is a good question because we're really not, if we're going to create a new WAC for it, then we would want to remove it from here.
Oh, you're talking creating a WAC because it's adopted
Yes.
now, correct? Yeah.
I think we can probably leave it in for now. We can modify that later if we have to. At least it's there.
I think with.
And,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, but
Yeah, let's leave it here for now, but I think you're right. We're going to have to, we will have to, I'll look up something, but this is a great point because we'll have to delete it and we'll have to do a tag for the WUI book itself, not the IFC, because this is an IFC amendment. So now we're gonna have to make another WAC, whatever WAC we took to adopt the WUI code, and do this work on that, what we did on a separate book.
So are you thinking that's a new tag?
No, it'll be,
Oh.
the fire tag will be responsible for the WUI code.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
do it during the same process, but it's kind of like
Oh.
the IBC and IEBC.
Okay. I
So
see.
they kind of work together
I
to
see.
make them both match. So yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, good catch, John.
Excellent.
May I invite us to go back and take a quick comparison on the medical gases in the interest of just reducing state amendments? And if I could share my screen, I've got them both up, if it would make that easier, if it's possible.
Yeah, let me stop sharing and then you can share. You're good to go.
Thank you. Let me know when you can see that.
We can see you, just turn your monitor.
Yeah, it's not,
Oh.
there we go. It's starting to go.
There we go.
So I would say the intent of these two are the same.
Ken, your dog wants out.
That's my,
Oh, that's your dog?
Wasn't the exception something to do with plumbers?
Yeah, the plumbers lobbyists were built on this for quite a while. We actually couldn't even adopt 5306.5. We had to modify that because we couldn't have all of the things that were in there. And we had a structure at Spokane Valley that the system was never inspected and the plumbing people were not inspecting it. The building actually broke when the tanks went off. And so we had to push a couple cycles ago of getting this language in there. So I know that there is concerns with that. We do have to make the references to the plumbing code because of another law somewhere, and I can't remember which one it was.
so maybe 5306.1 is safe because of the exception. And what are our thoughts on 5306.5?
And that was basically tied to that because I think
Okay.
we're very specific about, we do the maintenance and testing, but I know inspection is missing out of that. So there was specific things that we could do with it.
and
I think
install
it
was
was
missing from that
the
one too.
testing couldn't be done under NFPA 99 on the language. So
Okay, I just, like I said, only in the interest
Yeah.
in getting rid of an amendment, because I use NFPA 99 so much and it does have existing, like, requirements for existing versus new installations and stuff like that. So I wouldn't want to
right.
make it harder for you guys to do your work.
Yeah, this all came from the plumbers. In fact, John Napier, you on? Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, I still deal with my counselor over it. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. It's a very political hot button item, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. We spent some time making sure we got it, so the plumbers were good and everybody was good. So my recommendation is, don't touch, please.
Thanks for entertaining that.
Excuse me. Okay, that was great.
Okay, any other discussion on agenda item 4? Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is the significant changes report.
So I've got, oops, gosh, darn it. Put this up here. You seeing anything?
Yeah, it's just popping up.
Okay. So here's what I sent everybody the other day, and it came out late, so I didn't expect y'all to work on it that much. This is what the IBC is using, and I left this top one here just for general guidance. Was it unless somebody has anything else? I think Corey, didn't you send me yours?
Yeah, I sent you chapter 9 because I'm on the building tag and
Oh,
already did chapter 9. You know, they're not exactly the same, but I'm done with chapter 9, and but we can go it over it now or go over it then. I did every change, but there's only about 6 changes that are, I think, that have a economic, impact. So.
right. Well, we're here. We might as well hit it. 9.
Yeah,
It looks
we
like
have it.
Chris, did you send?
Yeah,
said-
all of 10 minutes before the meeting. Yeah.
Okay, let me pull up Corey's here, and then we'll run down through it real quick, and then we'll go through yours. I tell you, I really, as much as I used to hate WebEx, I kind of appreciate it for documents. There. Better view. All right.
All right, yeah, and the rest of you don't have to take my lead, but I was kind of going by what Stoyan had been doing. So, but anyway, the first one is near the bottom of that first page, 903.242. That's a new requirement for Group F1, manufacturing of distilled spirits. That's a new thing that needs to be sprinklered per the code. So definitely economic impact there for those. I know some of those can be quite small. So
Wasn't there something brought up about wine too, or?
that's on the very next one. So the next one I had is on that top of the second page is 903.293. So this is also a new sprinkler provision for S1. It covers both distilled spirits and wine. So as where the manufacturer only covers the distilled spirits, this covers both distilled spirits and wine. I don't think it was, my opinion is somewhat, it's kind of left it things that open to opinion somewhat. I mean, it just basically says bulk storage of these items. There's no square footage established. There's no definition of what bulk storage is. I mean, you can look at it in Webster's dictionary. Certainly this could be controversial in this state. There's lots of wine manufacturers and lots of wine storage. I don't know if wine is included here because typically a lot of times in bulk storage, it's in wooden barrels, you know, as opposed to, you know, smaller bottled type items. You know, this is something that the tag may want to modify or something. I don't know. This one looks like to me that would be the most controversial. That's this one and the one for 13R sprinklers. But next one is about halfway down there, 903.2.10, item 3. This is a new provision for open parking garages where there was no requirement for them to be sprinkled before. Now that puts a maximum of 48,000 square feet of unsprinkled area. Above that, it has to be sprinklered. Near the bottom of page 903.312, this is the one that is probably the other biggest impact. The code now limits 13R systems to 30 feet above floor level or grade level. It used to be 60 feet, so you could have a 4-story of the wood frame above a concrete podium and still use 13R systems. And the code has changed this now to, I think, better reflect the actual intent of 13R, which was, you know, it was always meant to be limited to 4 stories, but it was being used, you know, quite a bit for the 6-story type buildings. So there's a definitely impact to apartment houses type buildings for this.
Could I ask a quick question here?
Sure.
So you with a 4+2, the concrete base was an FPA 13. So essentially, although the overall height of the building is higher, the coverage is still for a 4-story wood structure. So it wasn't there special amendments in the state code to allow for that construction, and that would then the sprinklering would follow that?
As far as the allowable height, yes. And then, so this was a change at the national level. You know, I assume that they were having either some losses in these types of buildings. I mean, you could have a, you know, a 6-story building, and then if you had an attic, that attic would be not sprinklered, and it would end up being, you know, almost 7 floors off the ground. So definitely a difficult thing for fire departments to access and to fight fires that way. So
is there any way of working with a building code or the building tag on this to figure out, I mean, this would basically knock that allowance, that construction type, or the, I guess, building type out.
it still allows the wood frame construction above the podiums.
Yeah.
It just changes the type of sprinkler systems. So
Understood.
the main changes between the 13 and 13R in residential type buildings is that an attic would be sprinklered if it had an attic. A lot of these buildings don't have attics. So, and then the other thing in most of them would be closets would be sprinklered in a full 13, where in 13R they would not be. So
Meg, I might be able to
change.
I think I get where you're going with that. And that's what this report does. This report just acknowledges some major cost things that are new to the 21 code. And then this is just a tool to help bring awareness. And then the proposal process would step in. to help change these if you wanted to submit a proposal for it or somebody else did.
Oh, I understand. And thanks for explaining kind of what the concerns were.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give a perspective on it. It actually makes it less worse.
Yeah,
Less.
I mean, and a lot of jurisdictions were already not allowing this type of,
Okay.
certainly
got
the one I work for did not allow that. So,
So it's more consistent.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Or
The
I think,
only, yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, I think the thing to clarify, I don't think that the 4 stories and don't measure it on top of a podium is the part that is the the poorly written part of this amendment. I think it's that 30-foot floor level. Because what that does is effectively kill a 4-story wood frame building on the ground from using 13R. Because your
Well,
4th stories,
floor level mean 30 foot is to the floor level, not to the roof level.
correct, where that 60-foot height limit still exists. Your top story could have a 30-foot tall clear story, I guess.
That's true.
But, my issue with it, and this will come up through proposals, I think, but is you can't build a 4-story wood structure with the 4th floor at 30 feet. It's silly.
Yeah, I don't know why they went with a specific.
It lines up with where
Measurement.
standpipes are required, and I don't know why they did that.
No, that's, yeah.
That's the scarier part to me.
Yeah, and we'll be able to investigate the proposal at the national level and see what their background is too, so we can see what their basic idea was with that.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I don't have, so. There was only one more, and it was on the bottom of the next page there, Ray. And I don't know how, it's the very bottom one, 907-210 there, for Group S fire alarm. It requires a manual fire alarm system in these self-storage or public storage type buildings if they're 3 stories or higher, and also if they're not sprinklered. So, getting these higher and higher, especially in the cities now. A lot of those used to be 1 or 2 story buildings, and it's just giving people warning. Those buildings can be confusing to exit out of, believe me. And I think it's a good change to get people out of these buildings if necessary. I think a lot of those are going to be sprinklered anyway, so I don't know how often this is actually going to apply to a lot of these buildings. And that was it. Those are the major changes that I saw.
You set the bar high with your document here, Corey.
Well, I said I had Stoyan was doing this, and so I didn't want to miss anything.
Oh, I know, I get it. It's very well put together. For the rest of everybody, so they don't get intimidated by this, just the significant changes. If it's no in both, I wouldn't put it on this document. But unless it's something you think brings value to the tag, go ahead and put it on. But for the most part, it's just this one's mainly just the significant change for the cost.
Feel free to delete
Now
all those
you
rest
tell
of
us.
them. Try to keep up, you guys. Come on.
All right. Corey, you ready for yours? If I can pull that up.
You mean Chris?
I mean, Chris, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, let me get this.
One less thing for next time.
Exactly. And we only got one more meeting till we present this to the council, and that's going to be a very, very busy week. Here. So I may be calling upon a couple tag members if I have questions, or, oh my goodness, you do? I share it. Don't anybody get intimidated. Let's see here. All right. Let me get this zoomed up for everybody.
That's pretty zoomed up.
Is it?
At least for me, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do every single change. I did what appeared to be a change that mattered, and then kept going with it once I started typing it in there, even if it wasn't a big deal, because I had already started. Unlike Chapter 9, I didn't really find anything that provided me a lot of angst. I put a couple question marks on because I'm willing to be convinced that there is a cost, but I didn't see it as being super huge. Within stairways, there's a requirement for 10 foot candles instead of the 1, but I honestly don't know how you physically get 1 but not 10. If you know what I mean, like as soon as you put any kind of light in a bill, anyways, there could be a cost, I suppose, theoretically, but I don't really see one. The other change I kind of flagged was the area of refuge size increases, but that aligns with all the changes to the ANSI standards. So it's a little more space, but I think space equals money generally with construction. So I'd be inclined to put a yes there for cost. And then 100981 requires the two-way communication devices to call out to an approved supervising station instead of like an approved location. So if people weren't paying for that already, they would now. So it could be a cost, but most people are paying for a supervising station already anyways. And the rest was mostly just reorg and clarifying stuff that was already the way I treated the code anyway, so it didn't seem like a new cost to me.
Great.
But I'm willing to be convinced that I'm wrong on any of these. That's fine.
I'm gonna spell
pretty
in.
quick.
Matt, have you taken a look at Chapter 11 yet?
I was just reviewing my notes actually on that. So I did a first pass on 1150 and whatever else one we were doing. The first one that comes up as 110354 appears to be a new requirement for a high-rise building.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
I think that's about the only one out of Chapter 11 that I could see.
The 1104.18, I had a question mark as maybe a potential impact. It seemed like a clarification otherwise. And that is regarding
That was the table.
yes. That must have been what I was thinking. Yeah. So, oh yeah, it made a distinction between type 13 and 13R systems. So if someone was confusing this table to presume an equivalency between 13 and 13R, then this would be a modification to how they use that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you send me that, Matt?
I added the column on the spreadsheet that you sent out initially.
That's right.
With just yes or no. But I think what I'm hearing from Dave is Chapter 11 looks like we've got one potential impact.
Okay.
And it's a big one.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just transfer that over from the spreadsheet and put it on here. Just that one.
Yeah, and that's 1103.5.4 is Appendix M is now in, well, it's been in the code for high-rise sprinkler requirements. And I'll just read the first part of it, where Appendix M has not been adopted. Existing high-rises that do not have a previously approved fire sprinkler system shall be equipped with an automatic sprinkler system. I do believe that'll have an impact.
Retroactive sprinkler
Retroactive Chapter 11, yes.
Yeah.
Just a small impact.
Spokane.
Yeah, that's a big one.
For
That was 1103.5.4.
Yes.
And was there another one that you wanted switched over to this document? Or is that just the only one?
I think that's the only one.
Yeah, the table,
Okay.
I think 1104.8.18, I think is just correlating more with the codes themselves, the other codes, because they have basically the distances and common path of travel requirements. I think that's been more correlated.
Okay.
And then I didn't find anything in chapter 30. Well, I apologize. There are 3 sections in chapter 33 that I presume would be an additional cost. And it's associated with, that's fire safety during construction, I believe, 3305, 3303, 3305.
Yep.
I'm trying to scroll down and get to them.
And 3313?
Yep.
You say 3313?
3313, yeah.
So
the section's been considerably revised.
Okay.
So 3, 5, and 13, Ray.
Okay, I'll put that in. I'll put those on the spreadsheet. We'll skim over them real quick on the next meeting too.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you're interested in any part of this work, but I'm sure if you wanted to take a section, somebody'd be willing to give up one.
Zach joined us too. So.
What's that?
Zach joined us too.
Oh, Zach's with us now? Welcome, Zach. And Zach, that same for you.
Thanks, guys.
I might be an observer till I kind of get up to speed on all the documents you're referencing. And
No, wait, I've seen you at 2 meetings now.
And I'm not seeing anything with chapter 50.
Okay.
Chapter 39 will have an impact because now it's not just cannabis, it's going to be any kind of extraction from plants. So I will provide that for the next meeting.
Okay. Perfect.
Chapter 7 and 31 have no impact.
Well, I'm not going to do nothing.
So, okay, is there anyone else that has anything for the significant changes report? Okay, so looking at what we've worked on today on this, it sounds like our next meeting, which will be the 11th, right, Ray?
Yeah, it's a week from today.
Yep, so 11th, that one will be our last meeting to complete our significant changes document, right?
Well, we can have 2 more, but we would have to probably change the date. If let's see how the next meeting goes and what we can get. Because the council meeting's on the 18th. Well, am I looking at the right calendar?
Yeah. There's just the 19th, right?
The 19th. So we'll have 11th. We have a BFP and a council meeting. BFP's on Friday, in the afternoon. We'll go through this, but if we need to do something, we have the 15th, 16th, or 17th that we could clean something up if we needed to. But
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna need it. I mean,
Okay. So our goal for next week would be to have most of the significant changes report completed.
yeah,
Right.
and if we need one more meeting, we can squeeze one in, a quick
Okay, all right.
review of it.
Sounds good. Any discussion on the significant changes report before we move on? Okay, excellent. Let's go to agenda item number 6, which is other business. Does anyone have other business they'd like to bring up?
I do.
Ray, go ahead.
If the tag doesn't mind, I would like them to look at an opinion that I worked up. It's going to be brought before the BFP in the council meeting. Let me pull it up here. It seemed like a straightforward question to me, but I don't know. I didn't get any background on it, or a straightforward opinion. But I wanted to just run it by the tag and see if they agreed with my response. Ken, if he's on, I don't know if he's on. I showed it to him.
I think you had a split.
Okay. Let me. Okay, now that I got that up. Share my screen here. Okay. So the question was, can everybody see that on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. The question was, several institutional occupancy groups are required to be licensed by the state of Washington to operate. Does the issuance of a license preclude the code official from the ability to make a formal designation of the purpose of the building, structure, or portion thereof? My answer was no. Per section 301.1 of the IBC, the code official delegated to enforce the provisions of this chapter shall control the classification of all buildings and structures as to occupy and use. And then I put 301.1 below. I was just trying to keep it simple and answer and run it by the tag.
I would agree with that, but I'll open it up.
Yeah, Ray, I can provide a little background on this thing because it's
Okay.
in King County where I'm at. We've got some problems with some temporary shelters that have been put into play by King County government. One which is the most abusive one of the code is a 6-story hotel and converted into a psych ward and some other housing, temporary housing for people. And we're getting pushback from the nonprofits and I think King County at some level that until they get licensed by the state, they're not that yet, that the change hasn't occurred. And we're like, well, that's not how it works. And so the association working with the county chiefs is just trying to get documents in order because the way that they're going right now is they're pushing back, and we want to make sure that it's evidently clear to them that that what we're doing is well within the code, and we're just kind of just stacking up, checking boxes, making sure that we have enough exhibits for them that they clearly understand that what they're doing is not code compliant and needs to come into code. So it is a very elementary question, but it's done that way on purpose, just so they can put it in the folder with it as exhibits.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for clarifying that.
I have a comment, which
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's relevant. I mean, my experience with doing plan review for this type of situation is about 4 years ago. So I'm not sure if it's still relevant, but we had a lot of things come up the city of Everett, like changing a house to an occupancy for the care of fragile children, and trying to make the interpretation of what the code requirements were as the code official required a lot of calls to the licensing agencies. So it was not clear what rules might not have been incorporated into the code that were required by licensing. So to me, the answer might be a little bit more complicated if one is more restrictive than the other. In other words, if the licensing is
Yeah.
more restrictive than the code.
I simplified this up a little bit, and what I and I can add it back in. I did have my original response was the question I have here, and then I added at the end of it, any license requirements would be on top of the code official's requirements or use and classification of the structure, because
Right.
I was seeing it as we're going to give you your occupancy or classify this building as what it is. And then if you need a license, you can go and get your license and do anything on top of that. And if I'm out of.
I think basically this is our lane. This is the lane that we have. And if there's another one, fine, but just because that one hasn't been directed yet, doesn't mean we can't go forth and identify it. It doesn't mean that we're precluding anything. It just defines the role as a code official, I think.
And something that we've been doing, and I'm sure it's done in other parts of the code, I just been working with the plumbing code, is we've put several times in the code, must follow the provisions of the 2018 UPC and the Washington State Department of Health. So if there's something in our code that requires a license, we can add that to a code through a proposal or something to help clarify that.
Yeah, and again, the issue at hand that that they're having some friction over is just clarifying who is designated the one to declare the occupancy classification. And yeah, there's no doubt that there'll have to be some coordination with the requirements. But this is just a very fundamental issue right at hand, is just dealing with, it's not the state agency that's going to designate that that occupancy. That still lies with the local code official.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I do concur with that as well. I do have one minor exception to that is within the codes, usually the H occupancy designation is up to the fire official.
And did
Yes.
That for this one, I think it's pretty clear. The building official determines typically the occupancy of the building. The state comes in with a license, but they're not dealing with the certificate of occupancy that's issued through the building official and building departments.
Yeah, when they sent it in, it was sent for IBC and IFC. That's why I use the word code official, designated, just kind of, because I was afraid if I put building official, they say, well, the fire marshal does it, our occupancy. So that's why I use code official instead of building official.
Now, I usually make the description when talking to people about this as it's a layer cake. You know, your base layer is the building code. That tells you how the building goes together. The next layer on top of that is a license designation or a special use. And the layer on top of that might be federal certification or participation as a hospital in the Medicaid, Medicare services. The one spot where you might want to be, I was thinking, reading this as maybe this could be used inappropriately by another jurisdiction if they wanted to, because it would appear there are certain cases where the building code does designate an occupancy use relationship in coordination as a condition of licensure. So if someone wasn't familiar with that, and there's also requirements that the state licensing entities coordinate with the local authorities having jurisdiction in regards to these matters. It's part of the RCW. I wouldn't want this to be read that a building owner would say, I don't have to be your occupancy designation for licensure because the city already told me I was good. And then you'd have a building. We've had one or two of these where I've had it where architectural drawings were put together on the same sheet. It would say an I2 occupancy and an I1 occupancy. And that's not because they wouldn't, there's like a disagreement of who was in charge on that one. So maybe not applicable to the case that you have. I totally agree with Dave and John about that the code official has the opportunity to evaluate the use and occupancy and apply any part of the code that is appropriate to what they're doing in there, regardless of what it's called. You know, you've got little bits and parts of different occupancies in any building. But I guess you want to write this, or hopefully the end product, you wouldn't want any jurisdiction to get too far detached from the other obligations that the facility might have as far as working with those licensing entities. Like, I don't have to follow your rules, licensing folks, because the city of Everett told me this kind of thing. That could get a little bit weird.
I'm kind of leaning towards what Matthew is saying, just because, yeah, I think it could be misinterpreted. But I understand why it's been asked, and if you could maybe frame it for the purposes of what is being asked for at King County, if that's the goal of this, is to answer the issue at King County, but to have it kind of just address adult family homes, daycare, everything that goes along with this, where there's also an obligation for the building officials to work with the licensing agencies when they're making their occupancy determinations. So for both inspections and for plan review.
Go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
I was just thinking and there's two different questions, I guess, where I'd see does the issuance of a licensing preclude the code official from the ability to make a formal designation for the purposes of the building structure portions thereof? Yes and no. I would say that the code official doesn't make a formal designation of the purpose of the building. The owner does that. Then the code official uses the portions of the book appropriate to the use in the conditions of the building to apply the code. And so by making it that, by identifying it as a designation, that's what gets me worried that someone's going to say, I have the authority to say that you are an occupancy A3, and you will follow all the things that are A3, which that I wonder if that might be, that designation might cause trouble. Whereas if you just say, I as the code official can choose any part of this code to apply it as I see fit. A occupancy, B occupancy, ambulatory occupancy. It's the getting the designation part that seems like it could get sticky across jurisdictions and folks.
And I think that's what I was going to touch on a little bit there, Matthew, is on the way the question is asked, where it says, does the issuance of a license preclude the code official? I think it'd be far more concerning if that was like turned the other way. If it said, does the issuance of an occupancy type preclude the licensing, right? Because that's really the worry from that standpoint. So what if in the answer, we just make it very clear that there's a strong line there where there's a role for each, and this is only speaking to occupancy classification and not licensing requirements from any other agency. Like, would that explain it to us, like at a level, like just adding a sentence for that? Would that clarify that maybe enough? I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Meg and Matt, but.
It really makes me, oh,
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Meg.
Okay. I think the way the question is worded is it's limiting the answer, because the issuance of a license actually has absolutely nothing to do with plan review, inspections, that type of thing. It's almost, precluding us answering the question in a way to identify the roles of each. Because it's not just the issuance of a license, it's the licensing regulations. So I think the question is almost impossible to answer with one word.
And more poignantly, like I said, craft the answer. Mostly makes me wonder what they're trying to get to.
Yes.
Because there's probably an easier way to get there usually. But the other part is that this would be in contradiction to the Washington State Amendment to Chapter 11 of the Fire Code regarding the use of 1105.3 or whatever it is for I2 occupancies by local jurisdictions in an effort to ensure that local fire departments weren't also walking through and using the fire code as a basis of survey when they weren't also there on part of a federal certification or licensing survey, to have a consistency in application of the fire code to those specific occupancies. A blanket answer to this could kind of appear in conflict with the Washington State Amendment in that regards, because it would say, I, as the building official, have the I can use the code to designate a space within this hospital and apply the building code as I see appropriate, regardless of the licensure. So, whereas most hospitals would say, we're a licensed hospital, we're reviewed, we participate in federal conditions of participation, we follow NFPA 101. Because of a condition of our licensure, we don't have to, follow the exact language of this code or that code. Is that making sense? I guess the potential for inconsistency there.
I think where we're at, and let me know if I'm off base here, is I think with the question and the answer, I think from a foundational or fundamental standpoint, we don't have a problem with the answer. We're concerned with how it's going to be interpreted or relayed, or how it's going to be taken. And so with that, I would ask if anyone has a proposal to add, maybe, I think we could do it in a sentence or two, add some sort of language to our answer that delineates those two things. Do we have a proposal for some language that we think would be better for this? Is this something that we can visit next meeting too?
Yeah, we can all just look at it. It's gonna be, we're we're not gonna present it until the BFP.
Okay, let's
Oh,
do,
if we can get it done sooner rather than later, we're trying to get documents posted to the website.
can we do it by next meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Let's have Ray send, or can you post? No, we probably don't want to post it, do you?
No, not posted
No.
until we, yeah.
We'll email out this document to everyone. And then next meeting, if someone can have some proposed language that you feel more comfortable with, while still really pinning down the fundamentals of it and what we've done here, then we can re-examine it and maybe add to it. And I think that would probably be a little easier on, instead of trying to figure it out right here today. So.
Does anybody have a contact with the request or to perhaps help refine the question?
I could reach out to them.
I think that might be valuable. Usually I find that most of the time we spend more time trying to figure out what they're asking. The answer is easy after that.
Okay, I can send an email out.
Often easier answer than.
Point.
Excellent. Okay, that'll be the path we go then. Any other discussion on this for other business?
I've been having thoughts swim around. And I think that my opinion may be different from other AHJs, where I think that license may actually, well, it doesn't preclude me from making a poor decision, but where the license defines the use, it kind of is hard for me with any ground to stand on to call it something other than what the license calls it. For example, if it is a assisted living facility licensed under WAC 38878A, it is an I-1 condition 2. I can't call it something else without being wrong. Now,
Yeah,
can I call it something else and be challenged and overturned? Yes.
Yeah, the issue here isn't that we're in conflict with what the licensor is classifying it as. It's coming down to is you can't make me be this because I don't have a license yet. It's more
I
about
see.
the issuance of the
Okay.
license. It's not,
So
we're not in conflict with the licensing of or classification or characteristics of the building. It's solely that they're using the lack of an issuance of a license as a shield to get the building classified so they can figure
I
out
see.
what it's going to do to
Okay.
get it up to code. Yeah, sorry about the
no,
confusion.
that makes a lot more sense. And I think I would reword the question to say that it's not the issuance of a license precludes, it's the lack of an issuance of a license.
Or maybe that could be the answer, is basically just address issuance of a license and keep it restricted to that rather than, just try to kind of blanket answer it. It seems like that's more restricting what the question is. I mean, if Ray, finds out or confirms that with the submitter, and then just kind of reflect it back, the issuance of a license, just like you just said, does not preclude the code official. You just basically reflect it back to them.
Good stuff. Homework.
All right, sounds good. Okay. Do we have anything else under other business? Okay. With that, our meeting is adjourned, and thank you everyone for showing up today and participating. Much appreciated. We'll see you next week.
Welcome again, Meg and Zach.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.